Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Back to St. Augustine, Florida, we go. Ed Roberts, the COO of Bozard Ford Lincoln, is with us. We've been examining a lot of technology in the last year. Gavin Janis from Siro.ai is with us as well to talk about in person conversational intelligence and how that applies to the fixed ops world. Gavin and Ed, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. Happy to be here.
Ed, you and I have come upon some really interesting developments in helping advisors and teammates with coaching tools. And what Gavin does is squarely in the middle of all that.
Well, what Gavin does, we look at technology as something to help us be more efficient. And then when you have a piece of technology that helps us be more efficient, it helps us be more compliant, it helps with training elements. It just continues to raise the level of what we can do with our team and our people.
Gavin, if you would, take us back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about Zero.ai and bring our audience up to speed for those who may not have heard yet. Yet it's becoming embedded throughout our lives and everything we do.
Yeah. I joined Siro as employee 7, been here since basically the ground floor. And Ciro's been around for 5 years. And what it is, it's a mobile application that captures in person, face to face selling conversations. And then we analyze those. And really, what that looks like, it can be a variety of things. We'll summarize the conversation. We work with dealers, like, we would load in the recommended process for a service advisor and then score against that. We can tell you if service advisors are remembering to tell the customer that they're going to be checking for recalls or when they presented their menu, whatever it may be. We'll score those conversations. And to Ed's point, make it really efficient to understand if you've got a lower performing service advisor, what's driving that. Is it that they struggle with objections? Is it that they struggle with closing, building rapport? We take
Mhm.
all of those recordings, score them individually, and then compile those to give you big picture insights. So you, as a dealer, fixed ops director, service manager, you understand where you should be spending time training the team, as well as each individual service advisor.
And Ed, for a lot of dealers and GMs who maybe have come up through the sales ranks to have this scoring mechanism and to know what to look for and what to ask for. I think that's a real strong executive summary, if you will, of what's happening in my fixed operations.
Well, we always refer back and go back and say, okay, if we listen to phone calls, we know that there's some opportunity there. And there's opportunity there because that's something for you to play back and say, okay, here's where we missed it. Here's what we should have done. Well, it's not just on phone calls. It's with everything we do. It's all customer facing transactions. And when you can take that data and pull it together, create a report, you can really create tailored training programs or tailored compliance programs to elevate our game with our teams. And we could offer them advice. Well, hey, if we'd have done this, if we'd have built more value here, if we'd have this is a compliance element, whatever it may be, it gives us the tools to be able to go that back and do that rather than wait until an attorney knocks on our door and says, "Hey, you said this," but and I think every dealer out there fears that at some point, and the so from a compliance standpoint, when we can find something that helps us be more compliant, then we take more of the risk out of running these stores.
And Gavin, for a dealership like Ed's, I mean, he's a you know I want to say a single point with Ford and Lincoln, but he's a big single point store, and he's got a lot of people and a lot of advisors and a lot of moving parts to keep tabs on, Gavin.
Yeah, I mean, Ed, I'd love to know how many in-person conversations you guys have in a year. It's probably millions. And it's hard to understand what is said in all of those. And to the compliance point, right? We've worked with dealers and they've got key phrases that they want to know if they're ever discussed. They get sent a weekly email report with all the recordings attached where this was said. So yeah, I mean, especially like just honing in on specifically the compliance related side of things, we can plug in all the key phrases you want to track, and across all those million conversations, the small percentage where those may happen, we can quickly identify those, nip those things in the bud before they become a bigger problem. And that's really the idea behind why we don't just record, we also analyze, because we do know if you just have millions of recordings, it's hard to go through all of those. So we pull out all the key insights to make it much more efficient.
And Gavin, Siro, you're using this or helping dealers use this as a coaching tool. Tell us a little bit about that because that's really smart.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd actually love to ask Ed because I think this will actually help me better even explain it. Ed, I guess like in your world, like what would you say is one or two key soft skills or something that makes just a great service advisor compared to the ones that might be lacking with those lower performers? Like what is that one to two, three key things that you think are making those people better compared to the rest?
It's the ability to build and create rapport instantaneously. Some people can do it over time, but to be able to do it instantaneously, that builds trust. And those are things. It's a good thing you brought that up because those are things that you can highlight here. Well, this person took something from their vehicle, not necessarily took something from their vehicle, but took seen something in their vehicle or on their vehicle, and was able to make a connection. And those are the things. Don't just go right into what this is. You got to make the connection. People still want to do business with people, and so the number one thing that you see with advisors is they want to go straight for whatever the thing is, rather than building the rapport and making a connection that makes the rest of it easier.
Okay, that is fantastic. You said that because I was just working with a service advisor maybe a month back, and we looked at one of his recordings, and his building rapport is one of the things that we score. He scored a
Okay.
40%, and we looked at it. The customer had come in; their car was super dusty. It was probably obvious they just came back from some trip. The service advisor, checks them in. How you doing? Blah blah blah. Hey, why is your car so dirty? Customer starts rambling on about this vacation that they just did up in I think it was like a mountain trip or something like that. Customer tells the story, and the service advisor goes, "Okay, great. So here's what I'm," and just didn't ask. And basically, the recommendation at Siro was, we would recommend have the customer, oh, was the family with you? How long were you there? Build a little bit more rapport. And that service advisor was just like blown away. He's like, "Oh my god, I totally realized if I had done that, that customer probably would have liked me more." And then when I was asking for money 5 to 10 minutes later, it probably would have gone a lot better because they would have liked me, would have built the trust. So that's exactly that. And that's why, that's something that we score because we do know if you build rapport, you get people to like you. Deals just seem to happen a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
Gavin, what about things on the subject of building rapport, of like using the customer's name? Did the advisor use the customer's name at some point in the conversation? Is Ciro able to track things like that?
Totally. That's actually one of the many things that goes into the building rapport score
Okay.
is do you repeatedly use the customer's name? Did you actually use a professional greeting like, hey, I'm blank with blank. How are you? Nice to meet you. Or did you just go right into it? There's so many things that we track, but to that point, using the customer's name we know is very impactful to building that relationship. And that is one of the many things that we would score in that building rapport.
Ed, I'm thinking also for an advisor, Gavin mentioned the greeting process, early on, you know, documenting and confirming the primary concern, the reason why the customer is here, and not going off into other things until we cover that first. I would imagine that would also be something we'd want to document and make sure advisors are doing.
And repeat it back to them. It's no different than their name. People want to hear their name. They love to hear their name, and so you repeat it back to them. And as a lot of the audience knows, I'm a stickler about a name tag here because if we're going to
Yes,
use
you
a
are.
customer's name, they need to be able to use ours as well. And they don't need to keep asking. There's too many things going on for them to remember your name when you're first making that connection. So you got to take those friction points out, and then leverage them. Use their name, repeat back their issues. As you said, Gavin, dive a little deeper because that guy became a little bit robotic. He's like he
Hmm.
created it, seen something, created a conversation, and then didn't go anywhere with it because he was going right back into work. And the work element goes so much faster when you slow it down in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing we do is we give dealers the ability. It's called Ask Zero cross recording insights, so you can ask questions across all recordings. And the service manager, we were honing in on Miguel. He was lower performing. We pulled in, hey, what is Miguel's strength? What is his weakness? His strength, he actually was crushing the greeting side of things. He was
Oh,
doing everything we just discussed. But then when they got into like what the customer was there for, he did zero deep diving into like using any form of discovery questions. Customer would come in, oh, the engine's making a noise. And he would just basically blow right by that instead of, oh, tell me more. When does it do that? Does it happen when you reach a certain speed? Is it going uphill, downhill? All the different questions you can ask to, one, make sure that you understood the customer so they feel heard, while also helping them understand that this is a problem and that this is not going to go away unless you get this thing solved, whether it's today or in the coming, soon services.
Yep.
Gavin, what about in terms of real time? For Ed, he's got a lot of customer interactions happening throughout the day. When would we know how our people are doing? How does Siro help management hold people accountable and again utilize these coaching tools? And when do we get that back to the actual advisor who is on the front lines?
Yeah, so it happens in two ways. Recordings right now, they upload within about 5 to 10 minutes. We're actually working to have this thing happen in live time while it's recording. But right now, it's about 5 to 10 minutes after the conversation's done. One thing is service advisors, they actually like this. They can go back in and review their scores. They can ask the AI, how could I have better handled this objection? What could I have done better next time? Things like that. So they can get their own feedback from the AI, which is trained on the dealership's recommended best practices, basically instantaneously. Then in Ed's shoes, there's really two ways you can do it. You can either go into the dashboards at any point in the day. You'll see recordings coming in. Okay, that one got a 40 out of 100. What happened? Let's dive in. But then we also send a daily and weekly email digest highlighting all the things that you would want to know as a dealer. Here's the strength across the team. Here's the weakness across the team. Here's what each individual should be working on. And that comes in, it looks a little bit different in the daily versus weekly digest, but that's coming into your email. So at the end of the day, you got 5 minutes and you want to see what's wrong with the service advisor team if they're underperforming. Well, it'll tell you what happened in that day and you can quickly get in, leave those coaching comments. And then hopefully the next day they start to perform a little bit better.
Ed, I could see you coaching this or utilizing this in the morning huddle, okay, with the advisors before the proverbial door rolls open. I know you don't have a door, okay? It's Florida, okay, St. Augustine, Ed, but you got beautiful weather there. But not only as a group but individually, Ed, as well.
So there's a couple things there that I want the audience to make sure that they get is the scoring system of it. So you can pick out some good ones and you can pick out some ones that have opportunity. Obviously, the opportunity ones are the ones you want to have more of a one-on-one with, and it's your segue into creating that one-on-one. Then the good ones are those are the ones that you build off of and say, hey, we need more of these. But not only is it that element of a scoring system and a recap, but it's also a great review tool and a refreshment tool because you can go back and look and say, okay, well, I talked to this guy last week and may not remember what his dog's name is or whatever else. There's those elements that you could pick up on. Maybe you didn't make the note that you thought you did or whatever else, and you got the element to come back to. So it just AI is a big buzzword or buzz letters that we're all talking of. Yeah. But when it actually brings so many different elements of value, then it's instrumental to make it a key part of what we do.
Well, I really liked what you said there, Ed. It's, if you see a low score, that's when you use that in a one-on-one setting. But when you see someone just absolutely crushing it and you do introduce that to a team training, it reinforces everything that you guys preach in your trainings that it works. You show that thing live. It's not only are you talking about it in a team training, it's like, guys, look at Ed here. He ran through the process perfectly. Look how well this deal went. Customers happy. The deal was closed. Everyone's happy in the conversation. And that's when you use the good ones in a team setting. And then those one-on-ones is when you pull up those coaching moments. So you're not putting anybody on blast in front of the entire team. And we have seen actually some service advisors, hey, I want you to play this one in front of the team. I really struggled here and I want to hear what the team had for feedback. But the recommendation, poor recording, one-on-one training, great one, play it in front of the team, reinforce what we, preach works here.
Absolutely.
Gavin, how do you, from my perspective, how do you set this up? Because Bozard Ford Lincoln is very different than Tully's dealerships at the Nilo Company, very different than Sean Kingry's Kaiser Automotive Group. How do you give the dealer, and make this work for them in their particular circumstance?
Totally. So we've worked with enough now where when we send our general best practices to a dealer for review, it's at the point where they're just making tweaks to the verbiage. A lot of there's similarities and then there's differences. So there's an intake form that we send to the managers typically within a dealership. and it takes them about 30 to 60 minutes to fill it out. After that, we load that into the system. Then we turn Siro on for 2 weeks. We start reviewing recordings, seeing the scores, seeing the feedback. And there's about 2 weeks of iteration after the fact. We realize, okay, we've cranked up the objection scoring a little too intense. The guys are actually doing pretty good, and it's grading a little too aggressively. And that typically happens over the first 2 weeks. So in short, it's a 30 to 60 intake form that the dealer has to fill out for each department they use it in. And then from there, we iterate over the first 2 weeks to make sure it's fine-tuned and tweaked to fit what the dealer actually expects the scoring system to be doing.
Ed, you and I use this kind of technology in our personal lives as well.
Absolutely. And it's like having an assistant right there beside you, grading you on the things that you can improve on, the things that we didn't touch, all the elements. It's huge when it comes to efficiency and an element to go back for a refresher. I mean, there's just all the stuff we've talked about. Yes, I couldn't imagine living life without it now.
And that's the point, Gavin. Once a dealership starts using this, they can't imagine life without it because it's really helpful. It helps them get better, and
Yep.
it helps them hone their skills and be on top of their game.
Exactly. And that's really the thing, right? This is not a magic switch. You don't turn it on and it fixes everything in a month. But by about that 90-day threshold is when we start seeing that performance start to, move to 4, 5, 6, 8%. And then by that 6-month mark, there's a new standard that's in place, and a dealership's typically performing 8 to 10% better than they were before using Siro. So it doesn't happen overnight. This is almost like a gym membership in a way, is kind of how we describe it. You got to go to the gym to get strong. Same with Siro. You got to go into Siro to get better. Yeah, it's one of those things you don't know what you don't know until you turn that flashlight on, and this turns that flashlight on.
Some of the best dealers in the country and best dealer groups use Siro, Siro.ai. Gavin Janis with us here today with Ed Roberts at Bozard Ford Lincoln. This is all about in-person conversational intelligence and the technology that's helping dealerships throughout the country. Gavin, dealers are making their plans now for 2026. I would imagine this is one of the things that we're going to be hearing a lot about. How do dealers reach out to you if they have questions? How do they take the next step? Also, early in the year, are you going to be at NADA? Tell us more.
Yeah, we'll be at NADA. Got a big booth. We're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff there, of course. And we'd love to see you at our booth there. Maybe we can, if you want to learn more about it ahead of NADA, I'd recommend you can simply just search our website, Siro.ai, hit book a demo. It's a 2-minute process, and you'll find time with me there. Or, Ted will, have my cell phone number and email attached to this as well. Feel free to text me, email me, whatever's easiest there. But simply put, go to our website, hit book a demo, take it 2 minutes. We'll find some time from there.
I see Gavin at Siro.ai and at 916. That's your cell phone?
You got it.
All right. There we go. Ed, I'll give you the last word.
Hey, there's opportunity for all of us to get better with everything we do. And when we think that we've nailed something, all you have to do is go pay attention to it. And then when you have tools to pay attention for you, review those tools and utilize them. And that's what this does for us. It gives us the opportunity to make so many things so much better, efficient, compliant, training tools. There's so many elements that comes from it, but you can't do it until you get started.
Gentlemen, thank you for all you do for the industry. And Gavin, appreciate what you're doing. I want to hear more. I'm sure we're going to learn more as the year progresses early in 2026. And on behalf of the Roundtable, happy Thanksgiving next week to both of you and your families as well.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, Ted.
Everybody, Gavin Janis from Siro and Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford Lincoln here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.